How the fuck did you get over there? Did you see that? She was in front of me and then I pressed catch ammo and she was behind me throwing me the shit. That was weird. There's another time, I think, I may have sped it up or something, but there have been a couple times, I think there's another one coming up either in this video or the next one, where Elizabeth was like, just zooming around the map, like, I guess she wasn't in the space she was supposed to be, but, when I asked for help picking a lock, she just zoomed around the fucking map over to it. It was pretty funny. I hope that I, like, notice it and say something about it when it happens. And yeah, here's me getting my ass fucked by the handyman. It says to shoot his heart for maximum damage, and I don't know, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I didn't really look into it much at all, how, like, what is most effective against the handyman. But yeah, you can't really make use of the skylines. I'm burping like a motherfucker. You can't really make use of the skylines, because once you get on it, the handyman will get on it and electrify it. But yeah, I don't know what is supposed to be effective against them. I mean, every method that I've ever used in the several times that I've played through this game, they all take like 9,000 hits, and I don't think I have ever not died fighting a handyman, which can't be great for my, like, skill at this game. But anyway, if you were wondering why I was silent for the first few minutes of this, even though it was just a fight that I then had to speed up because it was going on for too long, it's because this video's long and I truthfully don't always feel like commentating over this game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like playing it, and I like LPing it, and I like uploading the videos of it. Done. Really, like, there are a couple reasons why it can be sometimes a burden. For one thing, like, if it were up to me, I would just record a bunch of these in bulk, and then upload them throughout the week, but I can't do that. For one thing, that would be like a few hours of me just doing the commentary, to say nothing of, you know, I have to cut together the video before that, and then I have to cut my audio into it and adjust all the levels and everything, which isn't, you know, a incredibly time-consuming task, but if I'm doing like 3 or 4 of these at a time and doing the recording of the dialogue and all of that, it'll take a while, and it'll hurt my voice, my throat, for one thing, so I can't do it for that reason. So I end up basically doing 1 per day, and for the last couple weeks I've been... Essentially, the day that you're seeing it when it's uploaded is the day that I recorded it. I mean, I'm the one that I'm recording now, that you are watching now, is being recorded on the same day that I plan to upload it, so... But it's mostly just life stuff and, like, my living situation with Liv, because, as I have mentioned before, we are both currently unemployed, not by our own choice, and, so that's been the thing for the last month or so. And I mean, things are moving along okay. I had an interview earlier this week that went pretty well. I'm supposed to hear back about it before the holiday, and then supposedly something will happen after that, so we'll see. But it's put me in a very strange headspace. I, you know, have had to deal with a lot of shit. If you are in America, you know that the deadline for applying for healthcare for 2020 for health insurance was earlier this week, so I was doing that because if there's one thing that doing the healthcare stuff this year, which is the first time I'm doing it alone, I'm off of my parents' plan now because I live in a different state, and it was cheaper for me to be on our shitty family health insurance, which already doesn't cover a whole lot, but it covers truly nothing with me being out of the state that they live in, even though I'm not far at all. I wasn't even able to get a free flu shot with my insurance at a CVS, which I apparently should have if I were in Maryland or Virginia or DC, but not in Pennsylvania for some reason. I had to pay $25 for a flu shot. It's the first time I've ever paid for a flu shot in my life. Because every other one was just either at school or, yeah, school. So, but anyway, so, like, dealing with that shit, and then also the fact that with this game in particular, like, it's one thing recording Incredibles, but with this one I feel compelled to talk about sort of headier subject. Yeah, there she goes, zipping around. Sort of headier, weightier subjects just because of the, you know, nature and subject matter of the game, and because that was, like, literally the whole point of why I chose to LP this game in the first place. And you know, obviously, probably the most simple one is that the videos for this LP tend to be a little bit longer because I'm trying to fit, you know, story in there. And, you know, I know that, like, 3 30 or 35-minute videos a week, which I don't think I've done yet, but I know that that's a lot. That's a lot of content to consume. And I know that it's, you know, it's just me talking over a video game, so it's not even the most, like, compelling content to consume, I would imagine. But, you know, hopefully it's still nice, and, I mean, the main reason for it with this game is just because, if I did only, like, 15 to 20-minute videos, I would get, like, nothing done every video. I'd have to cut out basically every single one of these fights to get to any actual, like, progression of the story at all. And I would just really not like that when I'm constricted to 3 videos a week. I mean, if I halved the length of each of these videos, it would double, obviously, the length of the LP week-wise, and I don't want to be doing this for, like, 3 months, so... Because it's not even that long of a game, is the thing. So, I mean, I think this is going to end up being... It might be longer in terms of minutes, but in terms of parts, this is going to end up being shorter than, like, my Battle for Bikini Bottom LP, so I'm not really worried about that. And also, I was just not as game to do the commentary for this set of videos this week because, as I've mentioned before, this is kind of like one of the least interesting, if not the least interesting part of the game. The interesting stuff about the Vox Populi that I can bitch about, that's over, although I am not done bitching about them, of course. Or I'm not gonna bitch about the Vox, I'm gonna bitch about the game's treatment and portrayal of the Vox more, obviously. But I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll let y'all watch what's going on here for a little bit.
There's something about it.
Alright, nothing interesting is really happening right now. Although there are enemies here. This is the Memorial Garden where we'll be fighting Lady Comstock later. Spoilers, but I mean it happens in this video, so whatever. And yeah, I guess if you come here early, there are just two Vox people chilling out. And I don't know if coming here and doing this at this point, like, affects anything. And I mean, this was a completely pointless excursion, but I thought I would show it, because it was something I did differently than normally. And I mean, the game lets you go around and explore, that's the fun of it.
Seems like the Vox had chosen their favorite color.
Seems about right.
Okay, I was waiting for them to say that, because that line is fucking stupid to me. Like I said, I'm not done bitching about this game's treatment of the Vox, and I had some notes written down of stuff I wanted to say that I swear to God I am hoping and planning to make them my, like, closing remarks on the subject until the game, until the end of the game when I kind of give my wrap-up final thoughts on everything, where I'm sure this discussion will feature prominently again. And I don't want to talk over this part too much. In fact, I might just let this part go before I really get deep into that, because this is moderately important.
Your fingerprints do not seem to be your own today, Lady Comstock. Are you unwell?
This isn't going to work.
I think it can.
Your mother's dead, Elizabeth.
Yes. I think it's time I paid my respects. Let's head to where she's buried. There's the graveyard. My mother's buried.
Where are you going?
Come on.
What are we looking for?
There it is.
Elizabeth,
You bet.
it's your mother's grave.
They have her preserved in an airtight chamber. Fingerprints will get us into Comstock House.
She's your
A
mother.
mother who abandons their child doesn't draw a lot of sympathy in my book.
Take a moment to think about what you're doing.
There. Will you open the door, or do I have to go in without you? her. How are you, Mother? All locked up in there, huh? Looks like you and I have some common ground.
Let me do it.
No.
Let me do it.
You see, child, you chose to follow a false shepherd, and he has led you astray. What I do for love. What lion does not cringe to see their cub in pain, but spare the rod, spoil the child. If you won't listen to me, perhaps you will listen to your mother.
Elizabeth, are you all right?
Where did she
Just
go?
hold on. You need to rest for a minute.
No, I'm getting that hand.
Elizabeth, why is your mother a ghost?
She's not. He used me to power that device. He opened up some kind of tear. What's happening?
It would seem your mother is raising the dead.
Yeah. So this is the first of, I want to say maybe 3 times that we're gonna fight this fucking ghost woman. This is one of the main reasons that I don't like this part of the game, is that you have to do this a bunch of times. And as you will see, I've left this fight completely uncut. It is the bulk of this video. And I did that because I want you to see, at least for me, how easy it is to run out of ammo in this fight. And it has been the case every single time I play through this game. And I'm not going to necessarily call this a flaw with the game or with this part of the game. I probably just suck. But after that one time, Elizabeth is no fucking help whatsoever, and you really can't do anything, because there's nowhere to get ammo around here. Some of these dudes have ammo. It's not usually for either the pistol or the repeater. And yeah, some of them will just come right the fuck up to you, other ones will just stand there and do nothing. I don't really understand it. And then the woman herself takes a billion hits. So yeah, every time you run out of fucking ammo, you pretty much just have to die so that you can refill. And yeah, I just don't like it. And it's just a loud fight. She's constantly bringing these people from the dead, and so you have like 10 enemies coming up at once. And you need to shoot all of them first because they're the ones fucking shooting you. And then, you know, you get to shooting the woman, and you get like 3 hits on her before she moves away while you're reloading. And, you know, you do that like twice and you're out of fucking ammo. So the fact that it's just cacophonous and bombardment is terrible. And I'm sure there is a better strategy than just tucking yourself in this corner where there is absolutely nowhere to hide and you can't do anything. But I don't know. Whenever I try to run over it anywhere else, it doesn't really matter. I do try to relocate at some point in this fight, and I can't say it really helped a whole lot. Yeah, thanks for the salts. I have 7 bullets. And I didn't realize until I had 0, and so I spent all of them shooting that guy in the face. Yeah, not a big fan of this. So I'm going to take this opportunity while this is blowing my ears out to talk about the Vox and about that line that I mentioned. Where Elizabeth said that it looks like the Vox has found their favorite color, referring to them hoisting all of their red commie flags over the Columbia flags. And that part, if I'm reading it correctly, really baffles me. Because it's one thing to just absent-mindedly equivocate the Vox's, you know, sort of populist anarchism with Comstock's like, white fascism, like white supremacist, fascist police ethno-state. It would be one thing to just do that, but it's another thing to do what that line, at least to me, seems like it's doing. Yeah, here, I'm just completely fucked. I don't have any salts, I don't have any ammo, and Elizabeth doesn't know, what to do. And so that's why I try to get over here, because I at least know there are med kits. But, yeah, no such luck. I guess I could have taken the heater and done it, but... whatever, I don't care. But look at this, I have no fucking idea what's happening here. And then when the ghost woman shows up, like, yeah, this is just nothing now. And, the Lady Comstock ghost does take damage from the skyhook, at least from what I can tell. Not terribly much, as you can imagine, but whatever. And I just got killed by the shockwave of her, bringing all those people back to the dead. I'm surprised it took me that long to die, if I'm being honest. But yeah, the fight continues. But that part seems to me to be saying, like, they've created their own nation, like, they don't even care about America, or whatever. Like, what is that line supposed to mean? What, like, am I supposed to lament the end of Columbia? There's something about how this game treats, like, resistance to Columbia as, like, bad or, like, malinformed just because it will disrupt some sort of order. But the game seems to make the, correct statement, message, that Columbia is bad, that, that order that it has established is bad, that, it's built on the backs of people and is immoral and racist and profit-driven and ego-driven. But, like, at this part, it, like, laments America / Columbia as just like, oh, well, all the racism, that was all an unfortunate part of the project, but what about all the good it did? And I just keep thinking back to that Ken Levine comment where he says, this game doesn't have any political messages, it, just shows political themes, and, and he talks about showing the good and bad of racism. And I just, if it were me doing that interview where he said that, my next question would be, oh, what are the good? What's the good side? What good side of racism do you see in this? Like, the fact that it makes white people happy? I don't think that's as great of a, of an argument as you think it is. And then in a little bit, after we fight Lady Comstock again, and yes, now that I think about it, I'm pretty certain that it's 3 times that we'll be fighting her, which is far too much. There's going to be a bit in the next video. Oh, well, I'll let this is important. I'll not talk over this part.
My God. Is she the source of my power?
But what is she? Alive or dead?
Why do you ask what?
And the delicious question is when.
The only difference between past and present
Is semantics.
lives, lived, will live.
Dies, died, will die.
If we could perceive time as it truly was,
What reason would grammar professors have to get out of bed?
like us all, Lady Comstock exists across time.
She's both alive and dead.
She perceives being both.
She finds this condition disagreeable.
Perception without comprehension.
It's a dangerous combination.
Look! Footsteps.
She goes to unfinished business.
We have to follow her. Convince her to open the gate to Comstock House.
It's a shame you have need of her to enter Comstock House.
Frankly, she doesn't seem all that cooperative.
There is a way to bring her to reason.
3 truths you must discover first.
Truths which, in this world, Comstock has destroyed.
If only one of you had the power to alter time and space.
That would be a blessing, wouldn't it?
They're sarcastic.
So yeah, we're gonna find 3 tears that are hidden around here that will reveal things about Lady Comstock and, you know, the development of Columbia and her relationship with Zachary that will, that were hidden from this world, this version of the world, blah blah blah. You know the drill. But I wanted to say, there's going to be a bit later on between Lady Comstock and Elizabeth. Again, a little bit of a spoiler, I suppose, but I don't think it's any secret that we're not done dealing with her. Elizabeth makes a sort of appeal to Lady Comstock, saying that they are both victims of Zachary Comstock, and so they need to forgive each other by that common victimhood, and, you know, that for all their faults, that is what unites them and why they shouldn't hate each other. And again, bringing it back to the Vox stuff, where is this discussion of victimhood with the Vox? They never posit the Vox as victims. I mean, we see the way that they are, that, you know, that people are victimized, but that is never, in my estimation, coherently linked by the game's story with the Vox's mission. Their mission is never clearly defined. Their mission is always described very vaguely. And that's strange because Daisy, you know, say nothing of the you know, systemic subjugation and humiliation and torture of all people of color under this system, and all people who allied themselves with people of color. But Daisy was a personal victim of Jeremiah Fink. He tried to lobotomize her for being smart with him. He, you know, was kind of one of the main arbiters of the cultural racism of Columbia. He leads the stoning of the interracial couple at the very beginning of the game. Like, his whole empire, his whole business empire, which has provided Columbia with all the technological advancements that, you know, make it what it is, make it the capitalist society that it is. He makes the vending machines, he makes the clothes, his company make all that means of production in the factory that we saw a few videos ago. All of that was built with slave labor in Finkton and in the shantytown. And then in that last video, when we see the scalps of the founders, we're supposed to feel fucking bad for him? That the Vox, or, you know, we're supposed to think that reaction was just wanton violence and bloodthirstiness on the part of Daisy or the Vox? Like, again, I feel like I'm kind of just, like, beating a dead horse at this point, but again, just baffling equivocation, and it doesn't just confuse the moral and political messaging of the game, but it compromises the dramatic sense that the story makes, because Jeremiah Fink and Zachary Comstock are our villains, and yet, and you know, the means by which they are villains is very much tied to their treatment of the people who later become the Vox, and the treatment of human beings in general in Columbia / America. But at the same time, we're supposed to feel like the only thing, other than what ends up happening at the end of the game, the only real, like, substantive challenge to that authority, and to that status quo of abuse, we're meant to see it as a bad thing, and it's never really explained why, other than just, you know, well, they're being violent. And it's like, well, yeah, they were being violently oppressed. Literally all of the normal means of changing things, all, you know, avenues of political power were cut off for them. How the fuck else do you expect enslaved people to exercise any, you know, affirmation of their rights? I think, as human beings, is what I was going for. yeah, it not only complicates the political theming, it not only makes the political themes not what I agree with, which isn't... I don't really give a shit if games... That's a very strange little... when you die up against the invisible wall. I don't really care if stories politically agree with me or not. There are plenty of stories that I love, that, you know, their ideology is not mine at all, but I like the way that they tell the story. I like, you know, watching them, playing them, reading them, whatever it is. And, you know, also there are stories who, yeah, their politics I agree with, but I don't like it. So that doesn't really bother me, the fact that it's, you know, this isn't how I would have written the Vox, but it just isn't coherent. It doesn't make any sense with what this game's trying to do, or what this game is ostensibly trying to say. And it ends up, you know, complicating these relations and these power dynamics between the Vox and Comstock that really are not all that complicated. You know, they're about as complicated as the slave and master role. I mean, this game is essentially tantamount to saying that, you know, the violence against slave owners in, like, the Nat Turner or the John Brown slave rebellions, that was unjustified violence. Like, yes, the violent repression of them and enslaving of them was also immoral, but, you know, them trying to, by any means necessary, including violence, you know, upend that injustice and that status quo. Not only is that also immoral, it's equally immoral. And that's, you know, when you put it in terms like that, that's just a patently ridiculous statement. Obviously, the slaves trying to, you know, assert their autonomy and dignity as human beings, obviously they are in the right in this situation, but this game tries to overcomplicate that relation to the point that it doesn't actually say anything at all. It doesn't make any actual coherent point about any of the shit that it's talking about. And as I'm saying all of this, I'm noticing that I'm worried that I'm gonna end this LP disliking this game more than I did when I started it, chiefly because of the story, but also because of some gameplay elements that I've talked about a little bit before. But for one thing, I don't think that means that it'll make me never want to play it again. I mean, I have a desire to play through, especially the first half of this game, again, because there are a lot of parts of it that I do enjoy. And I don't think, even though I think its story is just fatally flawed, I don't think it's, you know, entirely bad. I don't think this is a bad game. And another thing, I like LPs that have a change in the relationship between player and game, even though I don't really watch LPs. But, I hope that, you know, me harping about this hasn't been a bummer, because to me it's just interesting, you know, thinking about this game. But once again, I've rambled right to the end of the video, so I'll see you guys next time for the rest of the 3 tears.